Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who: The Infinite Quest, the 2007 animated special that was originally shown in 13 separate parts, 3 to 4 minute parts on Totally Doctor Who, one of the Doctor Who spin-off shows more aimed at children, made sort of like a chat show, in a way, chat and activity shows for children, in a way. So think about what we do on the internet, but on television. And it aired in its second season that ran alongside Series 3. I actually watched this series. I didn't see Totally Doctor Who Series 1, which ran alongside Doctor Who Series 2, but I saw Series 2 of Totally, which ran alongside Series 3. They didn't do it for Series 4 for some reason. But yeah, they showed that it was 12 episodes for this series. I'm not sure if the first series had been 12 or 13 episodes, but they didn't do an episode after Last of the Time Lords. So despite this story being split into 13 parts, they only showed 12 on Totally Doctor Who. The last episode actually got its first broadcast when they showed the omnibus edition of the story. Must have been a few hours before Last of the Time Lords because I heard it was on the same day. So I'm guessing it was before Last of the Time Lords because it must have been shown in the morning or in the afternoon before Last of the Time Lords aired. Perhaps, maybe. But yeah, and also, as I mentioned at the end of my 42 review, because of that, it would have if I was reviewing it in broadcast order, then this story would have to come last, which would not work because Martha, spoiler alert, leaves the TARDIS at the end of the Last of the Time Lords, so I can't do it after that review. So instead, I'm going to review it here between 42 and Human Nature: The Family of Blood, because it supposedly in chronological order for the Doctor and Martha, it takes place between 42 and Human Nature, supposedly. I mean, there's no clear supposed when it actually does take place, but the most likely is in this gap, and it sort of works as now Martha is a frequent flyer, as seen in 42, and by Human Nature, she and the Doctor have this big chemistry, which is exactly what we see in this story. Also, fun fact, this story is written by Alan Barnes, a regular Big Finish writer at the time. So this is interesting. We get to see a Doctor Who story penned by Alan Barnes. So what's this story like? This is a good story. It's quite interesting. It's quite fun. Animation this time round is done by Cosgrove Hall. Yay! Who animated The Scream of the Shauker and the 2 missing episodes of The Invasion. And both of those went down really well. However, I think they've taken a step backwards with their animation with this one, at least when it comes to character designs, at least for the Doctor and Martha. Although some facial expressions are done really well. But I think animation this time around is a step backwards from The Invasion and from Scream of the Shauker. Not that it's bad. Probably the weakest Cosgrove Hall animated story, but it's still good. At least it's better than the Reign of Terror parts 4 and 5 reanimated episodes anyway. God, those episodes were terrible. Those animated episodes. I mean, I wasn't so fond of the episodes themselves, but the animated ones, God, that made it even worse. The plot sees the Doctor and Martha stopping the evil Balthazar from attempting to destroy Earth and turn it into diamonds, and then later on, after Balthazar's gone to prison and released again, a prison on Volok Nok, which, fun fact, gets a mention in one of the books I have, The Forgotten Army by David Llewellyn. Oh, well, I guess it's just continuity referencing. But anyway, so Balthazar's supposedly been released, and he and Core, his pet bird, have come up with a plan to try and gain their heart's desires by finding the infinite. They have a data chip, one of 4 of which they have a data chip, and there's 4 data chips, and each one helps find the next, and then all 4 together finds the infinite to find your heart's desires. The infinite is a ship from the Dark Times, so creatures like the Rachnos, the Nestene, and the Great Vampires. Great references, although I was wrong about them mentioning the Eternals here, as mentioned in my Smith and Jones review. Smith and Jones? No, Carrionites review. Sorry, as mentioned in my Shakespeare Code review. Sorry about that. But they will get mentioned again in the show. Certainly in Can You Hear Me? Maybe in other episodes. I'm not incredibly certain. But certainly in Can You Hear Me and Shakespeare Code. Anyway, the infinite from these earlier dark times, and it allows people to come find it's their heart's desires, which in Balthazar's case is gold, diamonds, and treasure, and just lots of pretty things that he can use to buy ships, that he can have an entire fleet to destroy anything he wants and be Scourge of the Galaxy again. And he needs the Doctor's TARDIS to locate the other data ships and then find the Infinite. So the Doctor and Martha go on a quest to find the remaining 3 data chips. And the stories we see them with pirates against an oil corporation when they're bleeding planets dry for oil as it's run out on Earth and petrol prices have gone off through the roof. And they say Doctor Who's not political before 2017. Anyway, so the Doctor and Martha meet this Captain Calico, who has one of the data chips as an earring, and her skeleton crew, literally. However, the skeleton crew are working with Oil Corp in exchange for new bodies, so that they can turn the captain in exchange for new bodies. However, they are stopped in their tracks when the captain escapes after the Doctor and Martha are revealed to not be pirates or Oil Corp spies. And then they find the captain murdered, not by the skeleton crew, but we do see a shadow of a certain big metal bird flying over. So that gives us a bit of a clue of what's going on. The next place we've got to go is a planet with lots of dung that's been invaded by bugs, and they're at war with humans. The humans originally they were originally there, and then the bugs came in and took over, and now they're fighting a war with them. And this mantis creature is their military advisor, the bugs one. Though he gets cheated by their queen and does not get paid, so he doesn't give them their weapons. But yeah, the whole section around here is pretty interesting. Seeing being stuck in the war zone here, and some pretty interesting stuff and revelations. It's pretty good. It's probably the best part of the quest section of the story. The final part sees the Doctor and Martha eventually end up at Vorognac prison to find the third data ship. By the way, the second one was the one that the military advisor had around his neck. And then the third one is being kept in a safe belonging to the governor, but he's not the real governor. He's taken the place of the actual governor and locked him up. And because the Doctor's committed so many crimes, he's locked up with the real governor. And so they make an escape because the Doctor sees, oh, this isn't fair on him. Let's make an escape. And then eventually they take back the prison. However, the real warden, governor, they're androids, by the way, apart from the fake governor, he decides it's to eliminate all the prisoners in Vorognac, so the Doctor has to stop him. The fake governor shoots him on the way out, and the Doctor has to stop the system and reprograms the real governor to run a bit better prison later on. However, the fake governor, a certain Ethelred Gurney, escapes, but he's then killed by Balthazar, and he gets his data ship. Kor is shot down, however, in the process, and it's revealed that he was working with Balthazar the whole time, which the audience technically knew, but it comes as a shock to Martha. He also gave her a brooch earlier on, which later turns out to be a little bird called Squawk. Balthazar then hijacks the TARDIS with the Doctor and Martha as his prisoners, and they go to the Infinite, sending the Doctor back down to Vorognac when he's no longer needed. So the Doctor has to sort everything out down there, and then he has to take Squawk out to the Infinite. It takes him about 3 years, which doesn't make an awful lot of sense, because if we're going across space at this point, then why does it take 3 years? And does that mean the TARDIS travelled 3 years into the future? Not exactly sure. But still, anyway, Martha finds the ship's powers, and it turns out it literally is what the heart desires. So for her, it's the Doctor. For the Doctor, well, he tells it not to even bother trying to find it. So that's kept mysterious. I like that. If it was Rose, then I don't think that would have to be kept mysterious. I think it's something else. Possibly Gallifrey in the tunnels, possibly something else. Even more so, remember, the Doctor remember the 7th Doctor era where he was getting more and more mysterious all the time. Let's keep it that way for some things. But yeah, and Balthazar finds his heart's desire, but as it turns out, it's just held together by wish and thinking, and ultimately the Doctor destroys it with the sonic screwdriver. He damages the pirate ship with that thing as well. Anyway, so the Doctor leaves Balthazar for Squawk to take back to Vorognac to be locked up again, and he and Martha just continue travelling in time and space. And yeah, so that's the Infinite Quest. It's quite a fun adventure, pretty good, some good characters. Anthony Head voices Balthazar. He is brilliant in the role. Also Toby Longworth of Big Finish fame voices Core and Squawk. He's great. Lizzie Hopley, also from Big Finish, also voices the Mantis Queen. That's the bug, and the cast of um the rest of the cast also does a pretty good job, and they match their characters really well. David Tennant and Frim Rajman are really getting into the voice work here, and it's really great seeing them interact. It also sort of feels a bit like it could work as an audio, perhaps. If this was a Big Finish audio, I think they would do it really well. 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 4 with the 10th Doctor and Martha, perhaps, next time. Maybe. Or Volume 5. But yeah, I think this they did a really good job with the cast and the voice acting and sound effects. The music, this is the first time we get it's completely previous Murray Gold music stuff, nothing new here. Dreamland and the Adventure Games would go the same way, and Day of the Doctor and Twice Upon a Time would be a best hits of Murray Gold tracks, with maybe some new ones, certainly for Day of the Doctor anyway. But they're mostly best of Murray Gold tracks for those stories. But this is the first one that's used previous music before, like notably the Skates Paradigm Trap, and maybe the track from the Shakespeare Code later on, when the Carolites are swarming. But yeah, this is certainly a some Murray Gold tracks used here without anything new, but that's absolutely fine. They also, with the title sequence, they animate the TARDIS to match it, line it with the rest of the episode, which I didn't think they need to do that. I think they could have the normal titles. When Dreamland comes along, it keeps the normal titles instead of animating the TARDIS, and I think that TARDIS is animated better. That's one of the few things that story had better animation of over this one, was the TARDIS. Not much though. This one actually I think is the better of the 10th Doctor animated stories. Pretty good story, some good animation, not perfect though, and some pretty interesting stuff and good characters, good story, nothing perfect, but still pretty fun and enjoyable. I will be giving the Infinite Quest a 7 out of 10. Yeah, if this one was actually an episode of Series 3 or counted as part of Series 3, it probably would be at the bottom or just before the bottom of the ranking, maybe. But I do think it's a good story, and I'm glad Alan Barnes got to play in the new series toy box, even if it was for this rather than a proper episode. But it's still a fun, enjoyable adventure, and really enjoyable in places. Not perfect, but pretty good. And the dynamic between the Doctor and Martha is perfect. It's probably the best dynamic of the Doctor and Martha this far. It might get even better later on in Series 3, but right here, right now, this is probably the best dynamic between the 10th Doctor and Martha Jones. So, yeah, really great animated episode. It's a shame there was only 2 animated specials with the 10th Doctor. It's a shame we don't get any more. We didn't have a third one with the 10th Doctor to make a trilogy, or any more animated specials with the 11th, 12th, or 13th Doctors. In fact, besides these, and Scream the Shalka, technically, and the other 3 Flash animation webcasts, we've only gotten... the only things animated have been the missing episodes and Sharda and reanimated scenes there. So after this, they focus on the... After this, Dreamland comes 2 years later, 4 years later until the next animated missing episodes, and no more animated specials, unless you count Sharda, in which case that's animated segments of that story. And at the moment, I think BBC Studios are focusing on animating missing episodes, so they're not likely to do a completely new 13th Doctor animated story or animated story for any other Doctor for that matter anytime soon, unless it's a missing episode. So yeah, maybe another time, perhaps maybe for the 60th anniversary we might get something, maybe. We'll see. It'd be nice to have another one at some point, but or at least have shown Sharda on television. But never mind, these were good enough. And Infinite Quest was quite fun. Okay, back onto the actual series next time with the 8th and ninth episodes of Series 3, Human Nature and the Family of Blood, a very popular episode amongst the fan base, as is the one that follows, Blink. And after that, we'll be on the home stretch with the three-part finale, Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and The Last of the Time Lords. So only 3 more reviews of this series to go, over 6 episodes, two-parter, a one-parter, and a three-parter. That's going to be a big one. And a very long review at that, and then the Series 3 ranking, which this will be an honourable mention to. Infinite Quest will be not actually counted in the list, though I will mention where I would put it when I get to that point. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for Human Nature and the Family of Blood. And the next animated Doctor Who story review will be Dreamland, and that will come between the Waters of Mars and the End of Time. Whether that takes place chronologically between those two stories is uncertain, but that one was definitely broadcast between those two, and unlike this one, it actually kind of works doing that one in between those two. So yeah, especially as the 10th Doctor doesn't go direct from Waters of Mars to End of Time. He's got events such as in the Day of the Doctor to play around with, so Dreamland could take place in that point. Anyway, so that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Anyways. Anyway, so the Infinite is one of these, is a ship from the Dark Times. Anyway, so the Infinite Quest, sorry. And Balthazar wants the I think we just got to all admit it. And they say Doctor Who's not political before 2000, and they say Doctor Who wasn't political before 2017. Fun fact: Squawkins. Actually, I'll do that at the end. And I'm glad Alan Barnes got a bit of got to have his teeth. Or maybe it might get better in Human Nature, Family of Blood, but anyway, but nevertheless.